Every now and then you hear some new artist being praised so highly in anticipation that comparisons are made to someone great in the past, and when I heard a mention that someone was being seen as the next Eric Clapton, my ears couldn't help but prick up. Mk.Gee, or Michael Todd Gordon, is that said individual who seems to have burst onto the scene with his latest and debut album 2-Star and the Dream Police, a body of work that has drawn comparisons to that legendary guitarist of a past generation. But is Mk.Gee really the next Eric Clapton? Is it just another marketing tool made to bring in listeners and sell records but not actually deliver? And is this album even worth your time? Well, I still think it's too early to say right now, but reading how the great man himself has enjoyed listening to Mk.Gee goes some way to supporting the idea that even Eric Clapton is happy with the comparison, and is perhaps suggesting that this is potentially his protege in the making and the next heir to his musical greatness. Moreover, whether you care for the comparison or not, or have never even heard of Eric Clapton, is beside the point, because with 2-Star and the Dream Police, I believe there is enough quality within this work to demonstrate the tremendous talent of Mk.Gee as someone to pay close attention to, and to more importantly, enjoy as an artist. For those who are interested in hearing a somewhat new rendition of what the current state of rock music is like, then I believe this is an album to showcase to you the state of that art when it comes to the contemporary guitar genre, because some of the sounds and mixes achieved in this album are nothing like I've heard in the past, and maybe weren't even possible until now. I praise, I know, and I'm not saying that this is the greatest album of all time, or even just of this year, but I am saying that this is an album to definitely check out, and if you think you might enjoy hearing some futuristic lo-fi rock fused with some melodic synths and spacey shimmery vocals, then this is going to be right up your alley. So allow me to present to you 5 songs you must hear in ascending order that hopefully gets you interested in the mysterious Mk.Gee. Starting us off is the song called You Got It, which begins with a piano introduction that initially sounds like it's going to be some sort of epic November Rain masterpiece, but that actually shifts into this soothing lullaby of lo-fi harmonies and a guitar riff that sounds so hauntingly romantic that it could be something from an old school 90s action film. Picture that lovemaking scene from Top Gun, but with this music over the top of it. His voice feels like it's crying out to a lover that doesn't want him, and in turn, he's trying to seduce them with this incredible harmony. And man, I am the one being seduced. I especially dig some of the background vocals and surrounding sounds of these oohs and synth-like echoes, which are probably more closer to something sounding lo-fi, and it really does kind of speak to that idea that this is contemporary rock fused in with these lo-fi hisses and murky sounds. Such a strangely beautiful song, and an easy one to kick things off for the uninitiated. Speaking of murky lo-fi sounds, we next get the song Rylee I, which starts off with a riff that is something that I struggle to describe. It sounds somewhat distorted and is sort of like this guitar riff that's been changed and mixed in different ways to produce something that is almost alien-like. Like it's this weird spaceship sound or beam that maybe is coming up to take you with it. I mean, it just kind of sounds deep and murky, and even the drum line to it feels off, like it's far away, or that reverb to it is incredibly increased. This sort of goes into how the vocals vocals sound, which too feel like they're coming from far away. I think he might be using some type of flanger or chorus effect on both his guitar and at times with his vocals, because man does it sound different, but in a good way. This song also features some nice piano on the interlude and takes you through until the ending of this song, which has these weird quick little violin or high note riffs, maybe a synth piano turned up to higher octaves. It's such a puzzling song to describe, but regardless, I think the differences highlight the uniqueness of how far the guitar genre has come, and I'm glad we're living in a time to hear something like it.
So when you shake it up, baby, you know. It's funny thing you can cut everybody you know. Rylee, it's just Rylee I. So when you shake it up, baby, give me my hand. It's always there when you said you saw the angel divine. Just Rylee I.
Moving on to the tail end of this album, we get the track called Little Bit More, which to me has one of the funnest and bounciest guitar riffs from this whole album. Its repetition works such a treat as this poppy beat that makes you move side to side with it, and what's somewhat strange is that it's been relegated to the background, or it's been softened. What I mean by this is that it kind of feels like it's been muted, because even though you can still hear it, it doesn't feel so prominent or that it's going to be the star of the show, even though for me it really is. In contrast, sounds like his vocals or the piano are the chosen instruments to burst through, and maybe this goes towards some way to showing how different Mk.Gee is compared to other artists who might choose to mix their sounds differently. In some cases, the guitar riff kind of sounds like those musical edits of songs being played in the bathroom because of the way the notes feel dampened, but to me, it's probably the best way of how to hear them. You can put this song on in a dark room and just let these beats reverberate around the room while you lay back on the beanbag just soaking them in. If you hear this song on headphones and perhaps on a Dolby Atmos/spatial mix, it's one of the only times I've enjoyed the experience of listening to the vocals and instruments come at me from different directions. To me, I can hear the guitar sounds coming from the right, the vocals slightly askewed to the left, and the piano booming from somewhere far to the right. Just a weirdly beautiful combination of these three main elements that drive this catchy little song, and there's even some nice harmonics laid over the top to go. Definitely a nice track to directing your hearing senses in different places.
Yeah, you struck me up like it's nothing. The city on fire, no better driving. So let me relax it. Have you decided there's no hope in the draw?
Shifting on to number 2, we get the track called I Want, which is a song that feels somewhat perfect for driving late at night because of that guitar bass line that to me sounds almost like a modern remake of the song Every Breath You Take by The Police. You know what I mean if you hear that track, but there's this moving pace and constant presence being put throughout this song that makes you feel like you're driving down a highway to meet your ex-lover in a faraway town. Yes, that sounds cheesy, but something about Mk.Gee's vocals speaks to that in some length. It feels like he's reminiscing on on past faults and regrets that he's made with someone while subtly expressing his desires to want them back in his life. This all happens before a crescendo climax with some incredible guitar solo work that again feels strangely distorted with these high notes that, in my opinion, are kind of made to sound like his own screams to this person, like he's on his knees begging and crying out to them, but instead of screaming out loud, he's playing these guitar notes that do the job for him. Truly a perfect song for that late night kind of drive. And finally, we arrive at my favorite song from this magnificent album with a track called How Many Miles, a true contemporary work of art. To me, this has some of the best coordination of lo-fi instrumentals, from the guitar to the vocals to the background synths that work together in harmony to produce this entrancing melody. The guitar effect on here reminds me of that same kind I once heard from the Red Hot Chili Peppers songs The Rain Dance of Maggie or Dark Necessities. It's got like this dampened, deep, bellowing sound with some reverb mixed in with a bit of chorus or something, and if anyone knows how better to describe it, then please let me know. But whatever it is, it comes with these catchy series of quick hooks that go up and down in this rhythmic manner before it switches ever so briefly into something more obscure and slower with the chorus. It's like a bit of a dance between this quicker upbeat that bounces around and this slightly slower interlude that emphasizes the vocals of How Many Miles Away. I really enjoy hearing the background notes that fill out the soundscape and that rise slowly with the verses. It's like building ever so quietly in a way that kind of sounds like some sort of oceanic aquatic sound. Now, I'm not saying it's a whale calling out, but that's the best analogy I can sort of use to relate to it. Maybe it's more of a softer foghorn from a ship that is a better way to describe it, but the more I think about that whale analogy, the more it kind of makes sense for all of the other elements of this song. There will be times where these weird little snippets come in and out like a strange piercing sound or something that feels distorted and echoey to these weird piano notes that feel like someone trying to talk to you or are playing the piano underwater. In all honesty, I'm probably butchering my description of these sounds, and I just can't put my finger on how best to articulate what this song is actually doing. But what I can say is that there's so many different layers to it that the more you begin to pay attention, you start hearing some of these sounds that feel so odd and unfamiliar that they begin to feel really alien-like. They may as well be sounds that come from the deep waters of the Mariana Trench. I've talked so much about the instrumentals and melodies on this track that this isn't to take away anything from his soft, beautiful vocals that pair so well with the harmonies, or even the quick drum breaks that happen in certain sections which come and go just as fast as this song passes. There's just some insane stuff going on in this song, and I think hearing it just once doesn't really do it justice to understanding what's exactly happening, because a lot of things just fly past your head the first time, or at least they did for me. I was initially thinking this sounds like a lovely little song, but the more I came back to it and tried my best to listen to it deeply, the more I began realizing how there was so much more to this song than I had initially thought. A seriously great song, and one that I implore all of those who want to check out Mk.Gee to figure out if he really is the next coming of Eric Clapton. Hopefully you too have enjoyed hearing this man's fascinatingly beautiful work, and perhaps has even answered the question for you when it comes to assessing whether or not he is the next Eric Clapton in the flesh. Personally, I believe there's still some ways to go, because we are just at the beginnings of McGee's career, and moreover, I believe making such comparisons somewhat defeats the purpose of paying attention to him in the first place, and that it's also sort of a bad habit to do so in general to any kind of artist. McGee is his own man and his own musician, and from what I've heard so far, there's nothing quite like him, and I enjoy how he stands out because of that. He's doing his own thing in a different and good way, which is something to be celebrated and not diminished by making allusions to works or artists in the past. I think by saying he's the next Eric Clapton, it's just an attempt to compliment the man because he does have something special, and hopefully with more time we'll get to see his beautiful guitar work continue to flourish. But until such time, let's continue to enjoy this eerily encapsulating album called Two Star and the Dream Police.
I can shift shit.